My name's Kristin and today I'm going to prepare a bread pudding using Philadelphia cream cheese for the Real Women of Philadelphia. The cream cheese adds a really nice contrast and flavor to the richness of the spices and sweetness of the bread pudding. And here's where you would want to cube up some bread. Usually about 6 slices does the trick. My preference is sourdough because it's got a great texture and flavor. And then toast them in the oven to help dry them out and caramelize them just a little bit for added flavor. While the bread is toasting, we might as well get our caramel sauce started now, just so that it can have the time for the sugar to dissolve. What I have in the pot here is about 1.5 cups of a light brown sugar. Make sure that you do use the light brown. I did it with the Demerara once and that didn't turn out so well. And you have about 2/3 of a cup of evaporated milk. You want to turn it on to low and just let it slowly warm up until the sugar dissolves. And then once that sugar dissolves, we'll turn up the heat a little bit until it becomes nice and creamy and everything comes together to make a beautiful caramel sauce. So after you've slowly brought the caramel up to temperature and everything's been well combined, you go ahead and add the good stuff. You add a tablespoon of butter, a tablespoon of vanilla, and just shy of a 1/4 teaspoon of salt just to help elevate the flavors of the caramel. And then you just kind of let that sit and soak in. Give it a good stir. And then once that's completed, you add the coconut to the sauce. And then you can set it aside until you're ready to assemble the bread pudding. Now the breadcrumbs have been in the oven for probably about 15 minutes or so. I've just got it on bake, so they're not really going to brown too much. If you like to add the browning to it for that little extra bit of flavor, you can always throw it under the broiler for a couple of minutes. Next, we're going to get the egg mixture ready for the bread pudding. So in this bowl here, I have 3 eggs and about 2 tablespoons of milk. I typically use 2%, but you could use a lower or higher fat content as well. And you just want to whisk these together. And then we're going to add the good stuff. In here, I have a little bit of nutmeg, ground cloves, and cinnamon. It's a 1/4 teaspoon each of the nutmeg and cloves and a full teaspoon of the cinnamon. I'm just going to dump that in there, make sure it all comes out. And then just whisk those until they become well combined. Bread cubes and put them into the egg mixture and toss them to coat. Alright, now we're ready to assemble. Here I have an oven-friendly dish that has been well buttered. And if you think you have enough butter in there, put in a little extra because this stuff gets awfully sticky. So we're going to start out by putting in some of our pre-soaked breadcrumbs, or cubes I guess, and don't worry if not everything is completely wet with all the different components. Once they're together, it'll help. So you put in about half of your crumbs and you take some sliced almonds, and I like to crunch them up as I sprinkle them over top, and put a good layer of them on there. Helps add great texture and flavor. And of course some raisins, because we all know how well cinnamon and raisins go together. Next we're adding in the special Philadelphia cream cheese. It's been a household name for me since I was a little girl, never having anything else in the house but Philly cream cheese. Now you can see I've thinned it out a little bit and added some milk. It just makes it a little easier for spreading it around over top of the pudding. And then you repeat again with the rest of the bread cubes. After repeating the process of the breadcrumbs, the almonds, the raisins, and the last bit of the thinned out Philadelphia cream cheese, you add the icing on the cake, which in this case is the caramel sauce that we made earlier with the coconut inside. And you just pour that over top to completely cover the whole pudding. And this will just soak in and add a wonderful level of richness and sweetness. And now the bread pudding is going to go into a preheated oven at 375 degrees for about 20 to 25 minutes, just until it gets really nice and bubbly, and you might see a little bit of browning on the top few pieces of the bread. pulled the bread pudding out of the oven, and as you can see, we've got a beautiful, nice crust on the top from the caramel sauce with the nice caramelization at the corners. You are definitely going to want to let it sit for a little bit because it's going to be a little toasty right now. I don't know if I have the patience to wait that 5 or 10 minutes, but we'll see. And as you can see, we've got a nice sturdy bread pudding with all the layers. You can see the cream cheese, the raisins, the almond, and of course you've got to have that nice little scoop of vanilla ice cream on top. That is so good. You get all the different textures in there. It's not too sweet. Just fabulous. The best thing to have on a cold, damp day like we get here so frequently on the West Coast. Thank you so much. Again, my name's Kristin Pryor, and I hope you enjoy my bread pudding.